I heard that Radha was talking about Chakra 2 again in the study group. So I'm probably going to have to undo the damage. That's what I thought. I was afraid this would happen. Well, there's an old joke. I'm sure everyone knows it, because if I've heard it, everyone knows it. I'm always the last to hear these. But it was a joke, I think, about an academic scholar in the Vatican who was trying to understand the roots of apostolic celibacy, and he went to the original writings that were then copied by the scribes, and he found that one scribe made a mistake. He dropped out an R. It was supposed to be celebrate. Right? Oh my God, the whole thing. Oh, a terrible mistake, Well, there is a grain of truth to that, but it's not entirely the way that the joke portrays it. If you study the etymology of the word celibate or celibacy, and both celibacy and celebrate and celebrity, they all come from the same root in Sanskrit. The C is originally a K sound, and the B and the V are often traded for each other. And when a word transfers from one language to another, the second and third syllable are often transposed. So originally it was KVL, and the Sanskrit word was Kaivalya. Now Kaivalya is a very famous word. If you've read Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the word appears quite prominently as the end state of samadhi. And the word actually means solitude. To be in Kaivalya means you are alone with the All One. Right? God being one without a second. God being all that there is. You are in a state of pure solitude. Not egoic solitude, that's a withdrawal out of fear of the other and lack of love and all of that, but the solitude that encompasses all that is, in which there's a realization that we're all one. That ultimate state of realization, Kaivalya, is the passage, you could say, the rite of passage that brings one into liberation. And it was the Kaivalyis who would celebrate the Mass, as it were, the spiritual gatherings. And so the celebration was originally a coming together of those who were celibate, in solitude, that is, in their inner solitude. And the first celebrations of this kind took place in India, and they still exist. And today they're referred to as the Kumbh Mela. Has anyone ever been to a Kumbh Mela? Well, they're humongous comings together of all the celibate sadhus in India. Millions of them. It's an extraordinary event. I recommend you go, except you can get trampled to death if you're not careful by all of these saints, or drowned in the Ganges. But it's a good way to go. But they come together, there are different, the big Kumbh Melas is every 50 years, even every 500, but they come together and do these baptisms, as it were. The original baptism was in the Ganges, and that got transferred over in Christianity to the Jordan and to other bodies of water, but it was originally the bathing in the holy ocean of consciousness, the waters of consciousness. Whenever you dream about water, it always refers to that, to the conscious energy field that comes in waves. And the whole universe, of course, is consciousness. So we're bathing in this ocean of consciousness all the time. But we don't realize that this is God as the ocean of consciousness that we're bathing in. And so we're not fully participating in that baptism. But if we are in the state of Kaivalya, then we are aware of that. And so it is, the celebration originally is the coming together of those who have realized the solitude of the self. And only those who have realized the solitude of self and are no longer codependent on others and don't have voices in their minds that are attacking them or causing them to have distorted self-images, etc., are truly free to celebrate, because everyone else is suffering and in agony. And so society has tried to encourage, in the old days at least, the development of at least some people who would reach that state of joy, of bliss, so that they could officiate at those ceremonies that were meant to be happy, because nobody else was happy enough to do it. And these are people who are truly joyful, probably because they're not married, you know. They don't have children, and there's nothing to bring them down. So, but in any case, this was the original meaning of it, and the first celebration was of that liberation from the ego that is codependent on others, both externally and internally. And so when we meditate, it is in order to silence all those voices in the mind and to dwell in the solitude of pure consciousness. And that solitude is blissful, and it's cause for celebration. And once we learn that we can live in that state, then we can relate to others with true freedom and recognition and honor of the other, without getting involved in any of those chakra 2 games, or the chakra 3 games, or the chakra 1 games for that matter, of codependency or dominance or sadomasochism, or any of the things that tend to disturb our relationships today. And that freedom is a wonderful gift, and yet the ego fights against receiving that gift. That's what's extraordinary about it. But this state of Kaivalya really has nothing to do with how you behave in the world. You can be a householder, you can have a spouse, and actually have a happy marriage if you're in the Kaivalya state. And life will go very beautifully and smoothly. You don't have to live in a cave or bathe in the Ganges or any of that. It's not about a ritual, and it's not about a running away. It's about going within to discover who you really are. So that's what we're doing in meditation. And that transforms the chakra 2 desire into the yearning, the mumukshutva, for union with God, the chakra 6. And then through that, the ultimate release into chakra 7, the emptiness of the solitude that contains all that is. Okay, so why don't we go there tonight? How is that? Everybody be okay with that instead of going to chakra 2? Okay, good. Let's meditate.